Brad is trying to allow for a lot of Q&A. And what I found in community meetings, this question and answer is probably the best way to get us information. Two, I'm not going to read my resume, but I think it's important. So I'm the person who is trying to deliver the realism of what can happen. And so you should always know the person's perspective. So I've done real estate development for just about 20 years. I've done every kind of development in the city of Baltimore: high-rise, mid-rise, low-rise, affordable housing, hospitality, casino, retail, office, a little bit of everything. So I try not, my father always says, if you're a hammer, everything's a nail. So I've done downtown development on Pratt Street, and I've done public housing. I've done everything in between in the neighborhoods. When I first got here yesterday, I realized I had never actually done anything in the catchment area. A little to the east, a little to the west, a little to the south, but never in this particular area. But I give you that to say we didn't walk in with a preconceived notion. And the last thing I want to tell you before I turn over to Davin, and we're going to go over the nodes, and Davin will give you a little about the design concepts, but again, not every point, is my particular philosophy about how what's a great community. And I was once told by someone, I don't know who it is, that a great community is kind of like your house. All right, so you're going to have your garage, you're going to do certain things. There should be areas for your living room, there's areas for you to eat, like your kitchen, and there's certain areas for your bedroom. All right, so certain areas in a good community should be residential. Certain areas should be strong places to have food opportunities. Certain areas you want to be able to play. Certain areas you maybe want to fix things, like your garage. So I want you guys to keep that in mind as we go through it. What I'm going to particularly talk about, Davin's going to talk about kind of the big picture stuff, and then I'm going to talk about what we look for in terms of strengths in each of these nodes. So Troy had talked earlier about nodes. We're going to dive back into those nodes and talk a little about immediate potential opportunities and maybe some longer term opportunities.
Thanks. So my name is Davin. I'm an architect, planner, urban designer, and I founded a firm called Living Design Lab. There's been a lot of information given out today, and it might be hard to take it all in, but I want to bring it all together as we talk about this. And it's all really about Greenmount Avenue. It's a street. It's been described as an alley. It's been described as the back of two sides. And it's also designed for commuters, not for the neighborhoods. It's designed for cars and not for people. And I think the team has agreed on one thing, that this street should be made for people, not for cars. The team, even the traffic engineer, he agreed, okay? So that's the very first step, is to make this into a walkable, pedestrian-friendly environment that works for cars, but is really designed for people in the neighborhood. But it doesn't stop there, okay? Because it's also about place. It's all about edges, making infills to take what is really a string of broken, let's say missing teeth or rotting teeth, and to repair and infill that edge. But even as we do that, how do you decide how to treat those infills? Well, we propose that this idea of nodes is the way to do it. That instead of having some kind of uniform attitude throughout this entire length of Greenmount Avenue, that we should identify different nodes, different areas that hold its own character, its own theme, that will drive a certain type of development. So we're going to start from the south end and go up. So here we have the very south end of our site, Eager Street here, Preston. We are just off the image here. And you have this, here's Greenmount Avenue. You have this very strange leftover space. It's got a combination of row houses and light industrial buildings. And there's a lot of empty lots here from houses that have been torn down. Well, right next to this building, across the street, there's going to be this new makerspace, new kind of incubator and facility that's going to help entrepreneurs be creative by giving them the tools they need to start a business. It's called Open Works. And we want to build on that theme, Open Works. Okay? We want to build on that theme, that we can provide a district for creation. So this is a production and incubation district, where you use the existing light industrial buildings and maybe even make more, taking up the existing empty lots. And create more places for people to start businesses, to really experiment, be creative. It could be artisans, it could be fabricators, it could be light industrialists, and make this an environment for this kind of production. At the same time, there's some houses there. So what kind of families or what kind of people will move into a house surrounded by warehouses? Well, we think that there can be a very unique target for that. What if these houses were owned by the people who actually work here? So that it's a live-work environment. So that you have this ability to have residents who live here and then work right across the street.
I realized something very quick. Does everyone know what a maker space is? Okay, I figured that as a. So there's a concept now that's being looked at really across the country about where people, like, maybe you live in this building, and so either call co-working or makers different, where maybe you want to have doing something with your hands. Davin talked about artistry, right? But you can't blow glass in your apartment. That's probably going to violate your lease, and you're not going to be very happy with it. But maybe you're interested in doing that or working on some things. So what's happening now is people are saying, look, there are opportunities for me to go down the street here and do that. And what we're hoping, and I'll show you and talked about this particular node, is one of the potential strengths is you move from a hobby to a potential business. All right? So this has actually been a lot in the technology space that you're hearing now. Kevin Plank's doing one here in the Safer Technology. David Cordes is doing one for technology. What about the only district that I'm aware of that has an initial maker space that can move to graduation space? I went somewhere else. I went to New York and looked at a concept like that. And as this company grew, they said, I really wanted to stay in the neighborhood that I actually got successful in. So that's kind of the concept of makerspace. But I want to talk a little about the strengths of this particular node. So we talked about the production incubation node, kind of the Johnson Square node for our other group. There are a couple of pieces here that are really, really important. So from a focus of kind of what can happen in 3 to 5 years or even sooner, we look for strengths. So one of the strengths are really strong community partners. The Johnson Square has a really strong set of community partners, many of you in the room. Secondly, as we know and talked a little bit about when Michelle talked about some of the challenges, it's who owns the land. So in this particular node, the land is either already controlled or underway by a developer, or the city is beginning to engage in that process. So that allows for timing to happen sooner rather than later. And you're going to hear me talk again a lot about positions of strength to move from. And as my last thing before I go back to Davin, if you go back to my house concept, this is the garage, right? If you lived in a single family house, you had to go fix something, you kind of fix it in your garage.
And as we go up north, so here's that Open Works building that I just mentioned, the train tracks. And this is the cemetery, Greenmount Cemetery. We're in this building right now, sitting back here. This Station North district has really transformed in the past decade or so. But especially this corner, the southeast corner of Station North. We have the new, we already had artist studios in the Copycat building, in the Pork building, bringing the creative class into this environment. But now we have the design school, we have the Montessori school, and we have city arts. And soon there's going to be city arts too. We see this as an opportunity to define this area. It's already the arts district, but this is the art for Greenmount Avenue. This is the art node, okay? Where we celebrate both visual and performing arts. Right now we have, in this corner, not only this great new building we're in right now, across the street, there is artist lofts here, studios. You have the makerspace. And you have the gateway for Greenmount Cemetery. It's really one of the best kind of secrets about Baltimore. It's beautiful there, the park, very historic. What if we were to really celebrate all these things together? Take this corner, which right now is really an underutilized dead-end street that feeds a couple service entrances. Reroute the service road to the back of that. Add a small building there that has community-focused uses like a gallery or even like a small performance venue, and a pocket park. This park can be a place where the community can get together for festivals. You could have an art show there. You could have performances there, live music. It'll be a place where people come together.
You stay here on the slide. So again, the terminology is the Oliver Street node. And you look around, this is a really, really great node. Again, position of strength with the City Arts and City Arts 2. And you'll hear designers use the word gateway all the time. Gateway entrance. I'm going to use it a little later. This is probably one of the only intersections that truly has a gateway, right? A gateway on the other side of the street. The concept we use here that we thought about collectively as a group, and we got this from you as stakeholders, is this is a kind of like a placemaking, right? An area, an opportunity for everyone to get together. And we're talking one other place. Breakfast was the other thing that brings a lot of people together. So this is a little bit, I'm not calling it front lawn, but the opportunities that we talked about for engagement with the community, both from an internal perspective inside as well as external. And we really think this node already has a great strength, and with City Life 2's groundbreaking was announced yesterday, we think this node is really, really strong with a great opportunity to be a strong, strong place, sensible place. Nope.
So moving right along, a couple blocks up. This is North Ave. This is the northwest corner of Greenmount Cemetery and Greenmount Avenue. This is a very difficult corner, and we had a lot of trouble thinking it through.
That means we've argued a lot.
Yeah, exactly. You have the liquor store on the northeast corner. You have the bus stop and empty lot that's been landscaped, but it's pretty much just a landscape lot. And some underutilized row house buildings on North Ave. And then you have Rite Aid on the southwest corner. It functions well there as a amenity. It's not the best building type for a busy corner, as with parking right on the corners. It's not very nice to look at and doesn't really contribute, but it's better there than not being there, right? Now up here, just a little bit north, we know that there's been these really great townhomes that have been built by Telesis. And we feel that this idea of replacing and infilling the street edge with better buildings, with better uses, is really the strategy for the entire corridor. So looking at housing infill here and commercial infill in these locations.
So I'm going to try to explain a lot of things on this corner. I think we collectively thought this is one of the most important intersections in the corridor. And we gave a lot of thought to some of the things that may be perceived as challenges, but oddly enough, from the guys whose glass half empty, I see them as potential opportunities. So it was reminded all of us many times about the traffic that goes east-west and north-south. We've also heard a lot about the bus lines. I think I've heard either the third and fourth busiest lines or the fourth and fifth busiest lines. And I was also told, and I believe it to be the fifth busiest intersection for the buses. So from a retailer's perspective, from a traffic perspective and a pedestrian perspective, as Ken's talked about from traffic concepts, it's really important to understand and work that. From a person who tries to attract retailers, say, all right, how can we turn that into a positive? As well as into a positive to what I think all of us heard from the stakeholder standpoint. So I'm going to move, I'm going to start with this northwest corner here. Now we really want to be aspirational about this corner. All right? And there's two parts of the Ashton. So Telesis, as talked about before, is doing a great development to the north. The really key is to try to bring the right retailers in. Retailers are like sheep. They're not very smart. They follow the person in front of them. Okay? And so the key is, who can we bring that shows the other retailers that it's okay? A quick aside, I mean, the dirty secret in the real estate community, if you convince Starbucks or Chipotle, those brands, even if the other real estate groups hate them, you convince their groups that you have a good retailer, all the other groups come in. All the other retailers come in. So for us, we spend a lot of time on what should the Northwest corner be. What can it be in terms of density? What's going to work? What's going to work with those pedestrians out there on the bus lines, things like that. We really came up with two thoughts. And so the reason why that particular building there, that is a mixed-use building in Washington done by a really great developer I know up here. And it happened to be, so there's a new concept. This is not by name, but there is we think that grocery, we've heard it from you guys, really fresh produce is really, really important. So the second and third largest retailers in this country are now creating these small format stores. 15 to 18,000 square feet that sell fresh produce. One in particular, I believe, knowing their demo, I think would be very, very interested in this corner. So in addition to that, we want to create more housing to play off the great work and great product that Telesis has done. So we've really looked at a possibility of a ground floor use. So that could be community related, it could be a gym, a YMCA type thing, it could be this other 18,000 square foot fresh produce provider with housing on top. So that's the corner that we really, really want to strive on to be strong about. To the southwest, as Davin talked about, there's Rite Aid. And we're going to look at, outside this market, whether or not Rite Aid is a redevelopment opportunity. But for this stage, what we said was, remember, think of my nodes of strength. Who controls the land? So the city owns this parcel here. And for those who know it, I'm sure you guys know this community better than we do, it has some vacant land, but it also has an existing housing authority garage. So as Davin and the team has shown, they've shown it as a mixed-use building. Our thought is, there's a really kind of cool space, right? Your community has a lot of really cool spaces. Housing authority is going to vacate it. Don't tear it down. Maybe Davin, I'm trying to get him, I've recruited him like 4 times, maybe move his office and make an architect moves their office in. Maybe it becomes a restaurant, something like that. But you have the opportunity, if a larger, the parcel needs to be combined to a larger use, you tear it down, the city has the ability to pull it all together. If not, you can still do some things pretty creative. And those can happen somewhat soon. All right, I think if you're able to get that anchor tenant on the northwest corner, suddenly the southwest corner becomes a little bit easier and suddenly you have some momentum. On the northeast corner, and I'll admit this is my personal thought. I've heard a lot of people here, we all heard, that the liquor store is really, really an issue, or as someone combined. The combination of the liquor store and people waiting for bus is probably the biggest issue. So our suggestion, and we've seen it happen in the city before, is to purchase the liquor store and burn the liquor license. And you laugh. No, this actually happened just north of Johns Hopkins. They identified a liquor store that was creating a lot of issue. They figured out a source to find that, and they bought the license and literally had a burning session. I think they put it on TV. So we spent a lot of time about what we should do from a real estate perspective. That's a little more challenging, but I think if you were able to remove that, I think that would probably go a long way to helping create the momentum.
In any case, we recommend the city uses every tool in their toolkit to deal with that part.
Yes, code enforcement, things like that. But ultimately, I think that liquor store needs to be gone. I think there's enough opportunity to buy your adult beverages up and down the corridor.